Okay, so in my office, you could see if I pull this back, I could have a nice little view of the street. But today it's kind of rainy and miserable. We're having a nor'easter, winter storm, and I'm not feeling like going outside or looking outside. It's a little cloudy. All right, but I'm in my office. As you can see, I have my computers all set up. I'm getting ready to start to edit some stuff. And every Saturday morning, I get up and I sleep late. And then when I get up, I drink my cup of moringa. You guys know I can't start my day without my moringa, so I'm about to take a little sip. And I'm coming to you today because something has been really pressing on me. Today is Independence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but I'm not here to give an independence message. With my Vinci head tie or hat, and the Vinci colors green, yellow, and blue. That's as independent as I'm going to get in terms of Vinci independence today. But what I'm really here to talk to you guys about is regarding an issue that's really been pressing on me, child molestation. And it's worldwide, but it's very rampant in my country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's really a sad situation. So I'm going to address it not just from St. Vincent. The whole thing of how rampant it is in St. Vincent really motivated me to do this. But let's be honest and say this is not just local to St. Vincent. But it is kind of rampant there. Child molestation. I want to appeal to the mothers, the fathers, the caretakers, grandmothers, aunts, neighbors, that we need to start being more vigilant. We need to start being more vigilant. No matter how careful we are with our children, there's always going to be somebody who is slick and who could molest them or do them harm. But we as parents should be watching these children, being so careful and keeping certain things under our belt where it is harder for pedophiles to get to them. First of all, know that pedophiles often find themselves in situations where they have easy access to children. They could be teachers, they could be child psychiatrists, counselors, they could be, just about, let's say you're a mother with children. They might get involved with you because your kids are going to be easy access. And they'd be nice to those children so that they could butter them up when they're doing inappropriate things with them. You know, the thing that we parents often make a mistake with is we teach our kids to be careful of the big bad stranger, but we don't tell them about the relatives and the neighbors and the friends and the teachers and the so forth that might be inappropriate with them. And we do careless things sometimes as mothers. You see, with me, I didn't let my daughter sleep over at anybody's house except like my parents, my sisters, people that I know and I absolutely trust. Other than that, she was not allowed to sleep at any friends. There was no sleepovers. And I did not allow people to put her on their lap when she was little, except her dad and my dad. My dad, I know my dad. He raised me. I know her dad. I did not feel like I want her to get comfortable that any male could just put her on her lap. It's not that the uncles and so forth would have done anything to her, because I know my brothers. I know they're honorable men. His brothers, I know they're honorable men. But what I always felt that if you practice her to just know, listen, grandma, dad, you can go on their lap because you're a baby or a little toddler. That's okay. But don't practice like any male to just jump up in their lap or they putting them in their lap. And I didn't care who got offended. I would tell them, I don't want her sitting on anybody's lap. I didn't let her go to sleepovers because my thing is, I did not want to go here when she's grown, who uncle, who neighbor, who friend, who teacher molested her because I was careless and didn't look at what I need to look at. So I was always very vigilant about that. I remember a story where this lady told me, she had this boyfriend. He was so sweet to her daughter. And she used to walk at nights. Mistake number one, okay? And she would leave them home together because he was so nice to the child. The child is in her 20s and she's starting to have some breakdowns and really pain. Not so much breakdown, but she was going through some real big problems. In counseling, it came out that the boyfriend was molesting her every night. You see, we have this thing of thinking that these guys are going to rape your kid, beat them up. No. They're often very nice in cajoling them and buttering them up, giving them things. Be careful with that new boyfriend who come and wants to be your everything to you and your children. and you're leaving your kids for him to have easy access to. My ex-husband, once our daughter got to a certain size, he no longer played with her like a little baby. He didn't go in her room. If he needed something from her room because she was playing with something he had, he would say to me, go get such and such. I think I saw Raquel with it in her room. He didn't invade her privacy. Okay? And so I am always at a loss as to why mothers are so trusting to just let people just have access to their children. I had another person, this is actually a wife who, the husband was a police officer. He did something with the schools, and he would bring home girls on the weekend to spend time at her house. And she was very uncomfortable with it and questioned what kind of a parent would let this man take their young girl children and come home with him. The wife was concerned. She said, this doesn't seem right. Why would he even want to put himself out there to even be open for accusations like that? So a lot of it is carelessness. I had one lady who told me her daughter walked nights and leave her boyfriend to bathe and change and put her little daughter to bed, not the child's father. Now, you have a right to trust your child with the father as long as you don't have any reason to believe he's not trustworthy. But when you have a new boyfriend, I have a daughter. She's in her 30s. She has a son who's 13. But the one thing I admire with my daughter, she is a good mother. She never brought men around her daughter, her son. She's very careful where he goes, what he goes. And together we always make sure those two children, my son and her son, that they're okay. We raise them together. If she can't do something, I do something. I remember one day there was a neighbor who, he knows all kind of musical instrument, old Japanese neighbor, friend. And he knows all these instruments. He was in his 90s, but he looked like he was 60 something. And he told me, why don't you send the children over, let me teach them how to, play all these instruments, because there's a base for all musical instruments. I thought the idea was good. But honey, nobody's going to get me to send my child at that sweet little old man's house. I don't know you like that. So what I did was I took the children. So my daughter was telling, and I offered to pay him some money. He said, no, he was lonely. And I guess he was just glad for the company. Let me just take another sip of my moringa tea. I guess he just wanted something to keep him occupied. So my daughter was telling someone at work, oh, my mom found this sweet old man, he wanted to teach the kids, and my mom took them. And she said, oh, that's great. Now your mom could leave them there and go run some errands. And my daughter started to laugh. She's like, you don't know my mother. My mother would never leave those children anywhere where she can't see them. My son, for instance, is 15 now. He's 6'2", big boy. So I'm not worried about him from a physical standpoint. He's in a traveling basketball team. And he said, he's talking about, going on these trips. And I said, this mama is going to be right there. Wherever you are, I'm getting a hotel room and I'm going on that bus. Now, me and the mothers, we're probably going to sit in the front and the kids will be in the back and they're hanging out. No problem. But this mama is not letting you go on no basketball trip with no friends who are going to tell you to smoke pot or do this or do that. Now, if after my careful raising of you, you still go out there and do those things, then I would have no funny feeling about it because I know I did everything to protect you. Remember, children are not ours permanently. They're sent to us. They're loaned to us by God. This is how I look at it. Because if you think of the human animal, it's the only animal that is born and for the first year and a half is helpless, even 2 years. You got to bathe it, feed it, dress it, keep it safe, make sure it doesn't pull over something hot on it. You look at a little goat, a little calf, a little sheep, any little thing. Within a few minutes, or let's say at least an hour of being born, that little calf, that little goat, that little sheep is trying to stand up already. Not the human animal. They're totally helpless. So God recognized that, wait a minute, I got to make sure that I have parents that are going to take care of these little ones. So to give them to us. We have to stop getting possessive in the sense that we don't know when to let them go. So the time is going to come when what you have to do, the best thing with children is to teach them to protect themselves, teach them how to be self-sufficient. But at the same time, you as a mother, the father, and the caretakers have to be in the back, making sure that you're not exposing them to anything. making sure that you're not making it easy for people to do harm to them. You get what I'm saying? So mothers, fathers, neighbors, caretakers, community people, people that the kids may be with the community. It's all of our jobs to watch our children, to make sure they're safe, not get people access to them. Again, remember, pedophiles often find themselves in situations where they have access to children, easy access. So you're a mother with small children, you should be very careful who you're going to trust around them. The highest rate of molestation is among non-biological people. Whereas we're not saying, again, I'm going to go back to something where you should tell them to be just as careful with anybody. But hopefully you would have your father, you would have your grandfather, your brothers, your sister. You know your family, so you would know if they're people you should trust your child with. But when you're dealing with, you have a step-parent, when you're dealing with, you got a boyfriend, and you letting that boyfriend around your little girl or little boys, because they're molesting these little boys too. You need to stop that. You need to stop that. A lot of mothers out there know sometimes you're going through a hard time, and you just want to get somebody to help you with the bill. What are you exposing your child to? You're making it easy now for this person to pretty much have access to your child and not have any kind of care built in there. Let me tell you something, and this is going to seem weird. When I got married the second time, I dated my husband long distance. I know him like just knowing who he was, but I didn't know his personality. And we dated for about a year, and then he moved here, and shortly after he moved here, I got married. I mean, one of the things I think I had a problem, I didn't like that whole living together. I had a daughter, I had to set a good example too. So within, I don't know, I think it might have been like a month after he came, we got married. We were talking about it before, but we ended up getting married. And it was if I look back and want to be honest, it was way too soon. I really didn't know this guy because this was the time when he was supposed to move here and we're supposed to continue dating and get to know each other. He was here to study, but I had that old fashionedness in me. Now I don't give a damn who. I'll shack up if that was the case. But that at that point I didn't know him that well, and I was going to London to visit my cousin, and I remember bringing my youngest sister to stay here with my daughter, who was at the time about 18. Now, she was a young adult, but here was my way of thinking. I don't know this dude, which I really had no business being married to the guy at that time, that quickly. But I don't know this dude, and I am not leaving my daughter in the house with him. My daughter could not stand him, as most teenagers, when they have a new step-parent, they can't stand him. And I know I raised my daughter with principles. So I'm not looking at it from a standpoint that, I know him to be a child molester, because then he wouldn't have been in my house. But I didn't know him that well. And I remember talking to an old great aunt of mine. She's passed away now. And I was telling her I'm going, and I told her, I said, I'm leaving my little sister with my daughter. And she told me, she said, I'm so glad you said that, because I was about to tell you. You don't know that man. You don't know to leave your child in the house with him. That's how I thought as a mother. That this child, now later on they got to know each other. I got to know who this man was. He wasn't somebody else going to molest my child. But at the time when we just got married, I don't know this dude. And I am not just going to leave you with my child in the house with my child. So I got my sister to come over. She stayed here for the whole time I was in London until I flew back. Okay? Now, people might say, well, that was your husband. Yes. And yes, I shouldn't have been married to the guy that quickly. I didn't know him that well in actually, knowing his personality and what he's capable of and not capable of. But that was me saying, you know what? I might have done that. Maybe I got into this too quickly, but I'm not going to expose my child to that. I never trusted anybody with my daughter. I never trusted anybody with my son. Okay? They don't see, I know you ladies are, let's be honest now and have some frank conversation. I know many of you are young. You're not my age. My next zero is a 60. So right now I'm at the stage where I ain't worrying about that sort of intimacy thing too much. If I want to, fine. If I'm in a relationship, fine. It's not a big deal to me. A young woman, you're going to have needs. I'm not being ridiculous here. I know you're going to have needs, and you want the romantic thing, and you want somebody to hold you at nights and kiss you and all of that. But think of the price that may come with. There are ways to do that without embroiling your children in the middle of danger. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to you mothers is, stop putting sex and somebody giving you money in front of your children's well-being. And I'm saying it to fathers. Do right by your children, even if you're not with the mothers of your children. Okay? You need to be in the children's lives. That way, that stepfather. And and listen to me. When your baby mama, your ex-wife, have a new boyfriend, don't be at war with her. Go over and introduce yourself to the new boyfriend. You have a conversation with your children to make sure that nobody's touching them, and let them know that you would believe them once anybody do anything appropriate. Don't set them up to lie on that parcel, because sometimes that happens too. But you let them know, listen, nobody, don't put words in their mouth, but nobody have a right to touch certain parts of your body, to put you on their lap, to do anything like that. And no step parent, if you're any sensible person, you're not going to go and be hitting no kid, because you're putting yourself out there for danger. So you shouldn't even be doing that anyway. But you're also not supposed to be having any kind of contact like that with a child that could even be misunderstood as you trying to pull something. So fathers, go and meet your ex-girlfriends or your baby mama or your ex-wife's boyfriend, new boyfriend. Shake their hand. Introduce yourself to them. Okay, let them know. I understand as an adult, if you're living in the home, that she do something or he does something that you're going to talk to them, that you're going to, tell them that's not right or what have you, but do not put your hand on my child. And I'm not going to stand for inappropriate nothing with my child. When you as a man stand there eyeball to eyeball and you tell that baby mama boyfriend or ex-wife boyfriend that, they know that child is not alone out there. But many of the men, they're not really in the children's lives. And sometimes the ladies manipulate that situation too. They use the kids as weapons. And so when there's a problem, they're pretty much on there, the kid is like not really protected. And then mama now is in love and she got that new man that she's in love with and he's so sweet to me, so nice to my kids. You better watch careful to make sure it ain't a butter up. Okay? Do not leave your kids unprotected. Do not trust people with your children. All skin, teeth, and a laugh. So in other words, a dog does their skinny teeth, but when you get ready to bite you, right? So you need to be careful. Police your children's safety. Be careful with your children who you're leaving them with sleepovers, with people who have access to them. Don't send them to nobody's house who you don't know to stay. These are the things you have to do. Police your children. Your kids would rather know that they don't have fancy clothes and fancy this, but mama worked hard, she did the best, and she kept us safe. Then, she had a boyfriend, he did everything for us, but at night he's slipping in your room and put his finger in where he shouldn't be putting it. Okay? Be careful with your kids. Stop making the use of I don't believe in being vulgar, but stop letting a male body part make you lose your good judgment. Use good judgment. Protect your children. I can't say it enough. All right, this is me signing off, but I'm just telling you. I'm being frank, and this has been bothering me. I see it happening so much where we're just being too careless, man. Stop the carelessness. Take care of your kids. Watch them. Be careful who you have around them. All skin, teeth, not a laugh. Thank you very much.